for the council to just summarily dismiss our attorney after, without a full answer, wouldn't be, I don't believe that would be prudent on our part. I think we really need to get to the bottom of this and get the truth behind all of it, and
Well,
some
our
of it.
attorney didn't want to tell your attorney that we had dismissed him because he figured then your attorney would drag it out. And he
Well,
stated
no, that isn't certainly that isn't what we want either, and I don't think that's what the mayor is trying to do either. But you know, I mean, we're trying to expedite this as quickly as we can.
Let me see what I can do about our situation, our travel situation, travel plans, and I can speak to the mayor tomorrow.
If it's possible to speed that up, I don't know. Getting Weezer to town, I don't know.
It's possible.
But there is the other entity of the EDA involved in this, because it is an EDA flood loan.
Yeah.
Well, it's the EDA flood loan, and it's an EDA recommendation to go along with this course of action. So it's a little bit big. All of this is kind of bigger than it appears to be.
The EDA did not sign, no one on the EDA signed the contract, just Les Loudawig.
Well,
Recommended by the EDA, I believe.
It didn't say anything in the contract about that, so I didn't know. But I know that the EDA does the loaning of the money to the city, then the city loans it out.
Exactly.
this particular case is one where, one with some others, where the EDA has to determine how they will handle the loans that are going into default. And there's no policy in place yet, and I think the EDA is still trying to work through that, figuring out how they'll handle this case and other ones that may come up. They may need to write a policy about what would we do with these if other cases come up like this.
Exactly.
So that's something that, Attorney Weezer had gone to them originally and explained the whole process, and then he came here and explained it to you as what some of the options were to protect the city's interests.
Excuse me a minute, Kathy. Why in the newspaper you spoke, and it says, I quote, "This is the first one that we really have to take some action on." Can you tell me why you thought this was the first one you had to take some action on?
That's what the attorney had said at the time. He appeared before the EDA and he appeared before this council, and he felt
Which
it
attorney was that?
Attorney Weezer.
Weezer?
Yes.
He said that Mr. Weezer said that this is the first one you should take action on.
Well, it was the timeline of when the flood loan was coming due, and he recommended that the city take some action to protect their interests, file whatever paper he said needed to be filed, just so that the city was on record, and it would protect the city's interest until such time as the city figured out what their policy was going to be.
So this is a quote from the attorney or a quote from you?
Which paper is that?
This is the one from Winona, and it said this is written by Patrick Anderson. This is the first one that we really have to take some action on. City Clerk Kathy Zachar said we want to be sure we're doing it the proper way.
Well, and that's why the EDA recommended, and the council followed along to recommend he file the paper and then meet with you guys to try to negotiate something. That was his recommendation to us.
When we met with him, all he wanted to negotiate was to ask us to pay the bill. He didn't want to negotiate at all.
And that was our first meeting, Mrs. Holly. But I think we both, Mr. Holly, Mr. Weezer, and myself have learned a few things from looking at certain documents since then.
Okay.
But like I said, this is a big picture kind of a thing. So I can get in touch with you tomorrow?
Yes, please.
All right, sounds good. Can we move on from this?
Do you need EDA representation throughout this whole process too, or? Because whatever.
At least Joyce.
There'll be whatever
as a representative of the flood loan committee.
Yeah, it needs to go back to them somehow, because they are looking at some kind of an overall, I mean, they do have to come up with some kind of overall policy on how to deal with this case or
Right.
others like it, so.
But we'll get that information from Mr. Weiser, I'm assuming, a recommendation.
And what I'm wondering is, will he go to the EDA first, or if you have EDA involved with him now, then they're all on the same page, or Joyce, what do you think? Do you think some from the EDA should be involved in this meeting too, and can take the recommendation back to the EDA, or?
It would probably be helpful from a standpoint of, keeping
So
that
they're all
people-
informed as much as possible too,
Right.
you know?
And then we can just slow it down some more. Will that be the result?
No, you,
I'd like to, well, like I said, I took a walk through the building and I formed my opinions on it. And I informed Mr. Weiser about my opinions on it. So, and of course, we wanted to go in next week and deal with this, but this might not be convenient for the Hollies. And if it's not, I'm not gonna make them change things. If they have things they have to do, they have to do them.
well, you've got 5 EDA people, I'm sure you can find a couple of them that might be available.
I will see what I can do then.
I think it's still a question of, it's still a legal question and isn't necessarily, just so that we're a little bit careful and we don't,
It's still a legal
We
question
don't-
for us no matter what.
right, you know, we can form all the opinions we want. but-
Exactly, in my opinion,
but
my
we
opinion is
hired
my
Mr.
opinion, the council decides.
Yeah, well, we hired Mr. Weiser for a reason.
Exactly.
Excuse me, what does Mr. Weiser say about the contract that Marlene signed and Lester Ladoway signed, saying that she owned the property free and clear with no encumbrances and no liens?
Mr. Weiser would have to answer that.
He's never said anything. Has anybody presented that to him?
Yeah,
The contract, or has he seen that?
we're getting into an area I don't think that we can talk about right now.
Okay.
That, like I said, it's a big picture kind of a thing.
Can you give me some idea, do you have any idea when you think this thing is going to be cleared up?
I'll do what I can to get it done as fast as possible.
Okay. All right. Appreciate that.
We want that too,
Thank you.
on behalf of the EDA. We need to move that forward. So,
Anything else? All right, thank you. Let's move on to number 6, the